Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, America's third fastest-growing metro area, is home to 8 million people. Yet the downtown core is collapsing, and their entire way of life hangs by a thread. This is the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, a boom story with cracks running deeper than anyone wants to admit. Everyone loves talking about the growth numbers. The Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex welcomed 180,000 new residents in 2024 alone, pushing the total population to 8.3 million people. That is bigger than 38 states. Fort Worth just crossed the 1 million mark, making DFW the only metro area in America with 2 cities over 1 million residents. In Collin County, Princeton, a suburb nobody had heard of 5 years ago, exploded so fast, jumping 30% in a single year, that city officials had to issue a building moratorium because their infrastructure could not keep up. The corporate relocation story reads like a who's who of American business, what they're calling Wall Street with cowboy boots. From 2018 to 2024, Dallas attracted 100 new corporate headquarters. CBRE moved their global headquarters from San Francisco to Dallas. Charles Schwab, McKesson, AECOM, all chose Texas over their previous homes. The region now hosts public companies valued at a combined $1.5 trillion. Goldman Sachs is targeting 5,000 employees at their upcoming Dallas office complex. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. While suburban Dallas explodes with growth, downtown Dallas is dying a slow, very public death. Downtown Dallas has a vacancy rate of 27.2%, the second highest of any major downtown in America. That's not a typo. More than 1 in 4 offices in the heart of Texas's second largest city sit empty. The 15 tallest towers in Dallas, all located downtown, were built between 1954 and 1987. These aging monuments to mid-century optimism are now financial albatrosses, too expensive to renovate, too valuable to demolish. The crisis reached a breaking point in January 2026 when AT&T announced it was moving its global headquarters from downtown Dallas to Plano, Texas, a suburb 25 miles north. This was not just another corporate relocation. This was a betrayal. AT&T had anchored downtown since 2008, employing over 6,000 people in the heart of the city. They had spent $100 million developing the Discovery District starting in 2018, a gleaming campus meant to revitalize downtown. 2 years later, the pandemic hit, remote work became the norm, and downtown never recovered. Mayor Eric Johnson tried putting a diplomatic spin on it. He said as we worked to retain AT&T, it became clear that its current leaders preferred a large horizontal suburban-style campus rather than the skyscrapers that define our city center. The result is stark. Even the companies that built downtown Dallas do not want to be there anymore. The numbers tell the brutal truth. If AT&T completely abandons downtown, the vacancy rate would jump to 33.7%, making Dallas the American downtown with the highest office vacancy rate in the country. Property values could plunge by 30%, wiping out $2.7 billion in downtown real estate value overnight. Even office-to-residential conversion projects, about 10,000 apartment units and hotel rooms downtown that used to be offices, cannot keep pace with the exodus. You might think this is just the natural evolution of a modern city. Suburbs grow, downtowns adapt, life goes on. The problem is that Dallas-Fort Worth's suburban paradise comes with hidden costs that are only now becoming visible. The Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex covers 9,286 square miles. That is larger than the entire state of New Hampshire, and it makes Dallas-Fort Worth the largest metro area within the Texas Triangle megaregion. The average person in Dallas-Fort Worth travels 12,500 miles per year just getting around their daily life. That is equivalent to driving halfway around the planet annually. Princeton's explosive growth in Collin County is not unique. It is happening across dozens of suburbs, each requiring new roads, new water lines, new electrical infrastructure, new schools, new fire stations. DART, the Dallas Area Rapid Transit System, cannot keep up with the sprawl. That leaves most residents car-dependent for every trip. The Texas Water Development Board estimates that implementing the state's water management strategy by 2070 will cost $80 billion in 2018 dollars. Adjusted for inflation and population growth, we are talking about well over $100 billion just to keep the taps running. The North Texas Municipal Water District and Tarrant Regional Water District source 89% of DFW's water from surface reservoirs, lakes, and rivers that can dry up during the extended droughts that Texas experiences every few decades. In 2022, DFW activated a $2.3 billion 150-mile pipeline from East Texas lakes to meet current demand. By 2060, the region's water demand is projected to increase by 86%. Jeremy Mazer from Texas 2036 puts it bluntly, "We cannot have the Texas economic miracle if we do not have reliable water infrastructure." Then there's the Texas Interconnection, the isolated power grid that makes the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, called ERCOT, responsible for keeping the lights on. Everyone remembers Winter Storm Uri in February 2021 when nearly 250 people died as the Texas electrical grid collapsed during a polar vortex. ERCOT and state officials insist they have fixed the problems. Pablo Vegas, ERCOT's chief executive, points to recent performance and says the proof these reforms have strengthened the grid is in the performance of the grid. Just this week, the ERCOT grid weathered a severe winter storm without any system-wide disruption. Critics are not convinced. The winter reserve margin, the buffer between supply and demand, has dropped from 17.5% in 2021 to a projected 10.1% in 2026. Why? Data centers. ERCOT has received 225 new large load requests in 2025 alone, with nearly 3/4 coming from data centers demanding a combined 164,191 megawatts. That is equivalent to 164 large nuclear power plants worth of demand. OpenAI is building its flagship Stargate campus in Abilene, just 150 miles west of Dallas-Fort Worth. That single facility could require 1.2 gigawatts of power, the output of a large nuclear plant. And it is not just electricity these data centers need. They require massive amounts of water for cooling, competing with residential and agricultural users in a semi-arid region already stretching its water supplies. The math gets worse when you consider how DFW pays for all this infrastructure. Texas has no state income tax, which sounds great until you realize that means local governments depend heavily on property tax. The median property tax bill in Dallas County has increased 32.7% since 2019, reaching $5,040. In Tarrant County, the median tax bill is $6,633, the second highest among populous counties nationwide. The effective property tax rate in Texas is 1.245%, compared to 0.888% nationally. These aren't just numbers, they represent families being priced out of the communities they helped build. Higher property taxes get passed through to renters as higher rents, creating a cascade effect that pushes working-class residents further and further from job centers, requiring longer commutes and more infrastructure to support. Andrew Matheny from Cushman and Wakefield offers a more optimistic view of the office market. He says we are hitting a point where a majority of tenants have already downsized or right-sized for the remote work and hybrid work paradigm. The market is starting to resemble the Dallas-Fort Worth market we know and love, which is positive job growth and positive absorption. Maybe he is right. Maybe downtown Dallas will reinvent itself through office-to-residential conversion projects. Maybe the suburban office parks will prove more resilient than downtown towers. The Dallas-Fort Worth office market did show its first positive net absorption in 10 quarters during the first quarter 2025. But there is another vulnerability that few people discuss. The DFW growth engine depends heavily on continued immigration, both domestic and international. International migration accounted for 58% of the region's growth in 2024, 103,000 people. The Dallas Fed notes that declining net immigration will also slow growth, providing particular challenges for some industries. If national immigration policies change, or if other regions become more attractive to domestic migrants, the DFW boom could slow dramatically. The broader Texas economy is already showing stress signals. A September 2024 Dallas Fed report forecast Texas job growth at 1.3% for 2025, down from earlier predictions of 1.5% and well below the 2% annual growth rate Texas has averaged in recent years. Company outlooks have deteriorated, with half of business survey respondents expressing concern about softening demand and potential recession. As the nation's leading trading state, Texas is particularly exposed to tariff policies that could disrupt international commerce. Corporate relocations, the engine that drove so much of DFW's recent growth, are already slowing. The region attracted 32 relocations in both 2022 and 2021, but only 21 in 2024. That is still substantial, but the trend is pointing in the wrong direction. So what does all this mean for the 8.3 million people calling DFW home? It means they are living in a region built on a particular set of assumptions about energy, water, transportation, and work patterns that may not hold true indefinitely. The suburban sprawl model works beautifully when gas is cheap, water is abundant, electricity is reliable, property taxes are manageable, and companies want large campuses with free parking. But each of those assumptions is under pressure. The irony is that DFW's greatest strength, its ability to grow quickly and accommodate newcomers, may also be its greatest weakness. The region has become so good at expanding outward that it has not had to grapple with the hard choices about density, transit, and resource conservation that other major metros faced decades ago. Now those bills are coming due all at once. Climate change is not waiting for DFW to figure out its water strategy. The Texas interconnection power grid is not getting more resilient just because politicians say it is. Infrastructure maintenance costs do not decrease just because you spread development across 9,000 square miles, and downtown Dallas will not resurrect itself just because everyone agrees it should. This doesn't mean DFW is doomed. The region has tremendous assets, a young, growing population with a median age of 35.1 years, compared with 38.5 nationally, a diverse economy that is not dependent on any single industry, and a business-friendly environment that continues to attract investment. The question is whether leaders and residents will address the underlying structural challenges before they become crises. The winter storm that killed nearly 250 people in 2021 was a preview of what happens when infrastructure fails. The office building emptying out downtown is a preview of what happens when economic assumptions change overnight. The explosive growth of suburbs like Princeton in Collin County is a preview of what happens when infrastructure planning cannot keep pace with population growth. Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas remains one of America's great growth stories, but it is also becoming a case study in the hidden costs of rapid expansion. 8 million people are betting their futures on a metro area that has never had to choose between growth and sustainability. Soon, it may have to choose both, or risk losing everything that made the boom possible in the first place.